don't forget to subscribe. Now, let's begin. It was 2:30 a.m. on a freezing cold night. A birthday party was going on inside an apartment in Maryland, but in the bathroom of that same apartment, an 18-year-old boy had been locked inside for nearly 3 hours. His name was Ezra. It was his birthday, but just 2 days earlier, he had gone through a heartbreaking breakup. His girlfriend had cheated on him, and ever since then, he had been completely devastated. Ezra's roommate and best friend, Atlas, had planned the party hoping it would cheer him up. But Ezra wasn't in the mood to celebrate anything. Instead, he locked himself inside the bathroom, sitting on the floor, crying as he scrolled through his phone. He came across his ex-girlfriend Mahika's profile. Just 1 hour earlier, she had posted that she was officially in a relationship with another guy. Ezra felt betrayed and completely helpless. In a moment of anger, he downloaded a dating app. Only a few minutes after creating his profile, a notification popped up on his screen. It's a match. The girl's name was Sophia, and her profile picture was unbelievably beautiful. Ezra sent her a simple message. "Hi." A few seconds later, she replied, "Hi." And just like that, the conversation began. After a while, the music outside suddenly stopped. Ezra assumed the party was over and everyone had already left. He walked out of the bathroom, found the apartment empty, and lay down on his bed. He couldn't stop texting Sophia. Within a short time, they had become so comfortable with each other that Ezra finally admitted something. "I really need a hug tonight," he texted. "I wish I could hug you right now." Sophia replied, "Close your eyes." With a small smile, Ezra slowly closed his eyes. Suddenly, he felt as if 2 arms were wrapping tightly around him from underneath the bed. Startled, he opened his eyes. At that exact moment, the bedroom window exploded into thousands of pieces with a deafening crash. Before Ezra could even process what had happened, another message appeared on his phone. "Are you okay? You didn't get hurt, did you?" Ezra's heart skipped a beat. He quickly typed back, "Why would you ask that?" Sophia replied with a laughing emoji. "LOL. I imagined giving you the tightest hug ever. I was just making sure I didn't squeeze you too hard." For some reason, her message made Ezra smile. The attention she gave him filled the emptiness he had been carrying since the breakup. From that night on, they talked every single night. A few days later, Ezra asked if they could finally meet in person. That evening, his roommate wasn't home, so he asked Sophia if she'd be comfortable coming over to his apartment. Without any hesitation, she said yes. At exactly 8 p.m., someone knocked on the door. Ezra rushed over and opened it. Standing there was Sophia, wearing a beautiful dress and smiling warmly. Without thinking twice, Ezra hugged her and welcomed her inside. But something felt wrong. Her body was freezing cold, so cold that it felt like she had been standing outside in the snow for hours. Thinking nothing of it, Ezra handed her his hoodie and asked her to make herself comfortable. As he walked over to close his closet door, his eyes drifted toward the large mirror beside it. And what he saw made his heart stop. Ezra looked into the mirror, and what he saw made his blood run cold. Sitting on the bed wasn't Sophia anymore. Instead, there was a horrifying woman with rotting flesh, staring back at him. Panicking, Ezra spun around. But Sophia wasn't on the bed. She was standing by the window, smiling. Ezra couldn't make sense of what was happening. Then Sophia smiled and said, "I baked you a birthday cake with my own hands, because you never really got to celebrate your birthday." A genuine smile spread across Ezra's face. He cut the cake, and they fed each other a slice. As they sat on the bed talking, Ezra suddenly felt something strange. Without saying a word, he rushed into the bathroom. The moment he stepped inside, a sharp pain shot through his stomach and throat. Before he could even react, strange black and yellow worms began crawling out of his mouth. Ezra couldn't breathe. He wanted to scream, but then he noticed someone standing directly behind him. It was Sophia. In the very next second, the worms completely disappeared. Ezra stood there, shaking with fear. Covered in sweat, he turned to Sophia. "How did you get in here?" Sophia calmly replied, "The bathroom door was open. You'd been in here for a long time, and I started getting worried about you." Ezra assumed he had food poisoning. He apologized for ruining their date and told her he probably needed some rest. Sophia gave him a warm hug and whispered, "Get some sleep. I'll see you again soon." Then she quietly left the apartment. Ezra felt incredibly weak. He lay down on his bed, and within minutes he drifted off to sleep. Sometime later, he felt someone gently running their fingers through his hair. His eyes flew open. Sophia was sitting beside him on the bed, softly stroking his hair. Ezra froze. He clearly remembered walking her to the front door and saying goodbye. Smiling, Sophia said, "I forgot my phone here, and you accidentally left the front door unlocked. When I came back, you looked like you were in pain. I couldn't just leave you alone like that." Even though Ezra insisted that she should go home, Sophia refused. Ezra was shivering from the cold. Sophia handed him some fever medicine, covered him with several blankets, and gently said, "Just get some rest." Not long afterward, Ezra fell asleep again. The next morning, he woke up to a horrifying sight. Bloody footprints covered every wall in his bedroom. Then, he heard a young woman crying inside the bathroom. His heart pounded as he slowly walked toward the door. He carefully peeked through the narrow crack, and what he saw froze him in place. The same terrifying woman he had seen in the mirror the night before was standing in front of the bathroom mirror, quietly crying. Instead of tears, blood streamed from her eyes. Terrified, Ezra ran out of the apartment and returned with the building's security guard. But when they stepped back inside, everything looked completely normal. The bloody footprints were gone, and the woman had completely vanished. Then the security guard told Ezra something that made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. The guard said, "Before you moved into this apartment, it sat vacant for years because a young woman's body was found in that bathroom." Ezra felt the blood drain from his face. With a trembling voice, he asked, What was her name?" The guard looked at him and answered, "Sophia." The moment Ezra heard that name, his heart nearly stopped. Trying to stay calm, he nervously asked, "The girl who came to my apartment last night, did she look anything like her?" The guard stared at him for a moment before replying, "No woman entered your apartment last night. We keep records of everyone who comes into this building, and there wasn't a single visitor." Ezra's breathing became heavier. If Sophia had died years ago, then who had he been talking to all this time? Only a few seconds after the guard left, Ezra's phone suddenly started ringing. The screen displayed Sophia calling. His hands began to shake. He immediately declined the call and deleted the dating app. But the calls wouldn't stop. Again, and again, and again. Sophia kept calling. Finally, Ezra turned his phone off completely. He knew one thing for sure. He had to get out of that apartment. As fast as he could, he packed a bag, grabbed his belongings, and walked to the front door. He reached for the handle, opened the door, and froze. Standing right outside was Sophia. This time she wasn't smiling. She looked furious. In a cold, emotionless voice, she asked, "Why haven't you been answering my calls?" Slowly, her face began to change. Her eyes turned completely black. Her skin started rotting. Pieces of flesh peeled away from her face. Within seconds, she transformed into the same horrifying woman Ezra had seen before. She grabbed him by the throat and lifted him off the ground with terrifying strength. Screaming into his face, she shouted, "You're never leaving me this time." Ezra struggled to breathe. His vision started fading. He was certain he was about to die. Then, the apartment door suddenly opened. His roommate Atlas walked inside. The moment the creature saw Atlas, she vanished into thin air. Ezra collapsed onto the floor, gasping for air, still shaking. He told Atlas everything that had happened. That very day, the two of them moved out of the apartment for good. A few weeks later, Ezra settled into a new place. As the months passed, life slowly returned to normal. Eventually, Ezra almost forgot everything that had happened with Sophia. But one night, several months later, as Ezra sat alone in his apartment finishing some work on his laptop, his powered-off phone suddenly turned itself on. A notification appeared in the screen. "It's a match." With trembling hands, Ezra picked up the phone. The front-facing camera switched on by itself. On the screen, standing silently behind him, was a young woman. There was no doubt who she was. It was Sophia. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to Horror Night for more terrifying animated horror stories every week.